Hello and welcome back to the Lucy Letby trial. This is week 2. If you haven't watched week 1, I'd recommend watching that. What we're going to do is summarise the second week of the trial happening in Manchester Crown Court of Lucy Letby, the nurse who has been charged with 7 counts of murder and 15 counts of attempted murder. Okay, so on Monday, which is day 6, they were discussing child A, who was allegedly murdered, and child B, who is actually child A's sibling, they're twins, and child B, the charge against Lucy Letby is attempted murder. So care was handed over to Lucy Letby just before child A died. The mother had had a premature birth because of a rare blood disorder. So they discussed all of this, and again, the jury were shown footage of a neonatal unit. On Tuesday, which is day 7, they focused on messages between Lucy Letby and her colleagues. They looked at Lucy Letby's social media accounts as well. So 2 hours after child A had died, when Lucy Letby was on shift, 2 hours after her shift had finished, she searched for the mother on Facebook. The next day, on June the 9th, a colleague messaged Lucy to see if she was okay. Lucy Letby said she hadn't slept much and that it was heartbreaking to see the father of child A crying. And, quote, it was the hardest thing she's had to do. Lucy Letby was then on duty and child B collapsed, but survived and was discharged the following month. So the Crown say she went on to then murder child C on the 14th of June and child D on the 22nd of June. Colleagues said it's odd about that night. Lucy Letby said it's not odd, but child A, the nurse said she just couldn't get her head round child A's death. Child A was tiny, so was child C, and child D was septic. There were more searches in the following weeks on Facebook for child A and B's parents. Now, on Wednesday, day 8 of the trial, this again focused on child A. So Lucy Letby started her shift at the end of the day. Now, there were 2 failed attempts to insert a catheter into child A, and the heart rate dropped when Lucy Letby was near the incubator. The other nurse continued typing notes, and actually this nurse said in court that, and it was, quote, it was all a bit of a blur. The other thing that they mentioned on day 8 was they talked about a substantial number of Facebook searches for parents of children who had died and also other parents. They then focused on the fact that child B had suspected sepsis or possibly jaundice. Lucy Letby sent a colleague a message saying, "Will you let me know if there's any change with child B?" And she asked again later that night. So child B was quite ill at this stage. Now, child A had respiratory distress syndrome, which is not unusual for an early term baby. The trainee doctor, again, there was more evidence in court, had wrongly inserted the catheter. But the crucial thing was that child A did not have fluids for a couple of hours. That's what they said initially, but now in court they are saying 4 hours, and the nurse says she was not, one of the witnesses said she was not sure of events. Yesterday, on Thursday, day 9 of the trial, somebody called Dr. Harkness gave some evidence, and he said that child A's death was unexplained. Child A had very unusual patches on the skin, which he'd only ever seen once before in a baby. Again, they clarified that child A had had no fluids for 4 hours. Another nurse, a witness, said that child A should have had fluids in 4 hours. The other thing that the defence King's Counsel barrister brought up was that the doctor was mentioning in court about the unusual patches, but the doctor had not said this in his notes, in his written notes. Okay, today, day 10, Friday the 21st of October, the nurse said she hadn't seen blotches like this before. An X-ray showed an unusual line of gas, which is consistent, they agreed in court, it was consistent with air being administered. This was on child A, and the doctor said, well, there could be a number of causes. He admitted this. He said it could be air being administered, could be resuscitation, or it could be some changes that occurred in the post-mortem. I'm not quite sure about that, but the nurse giving evidence in court said Lucy Letby asked for help when child B became ill, and again confirmed that child A rapidly deteriorated. So the key things that I think from this week that happened, it focuses on child A and B. Child A deteriorated very quickly and they're not sure why. And the fluids thing I think is going to be quite important, and I think that we can't be sure at the moment, beyond all reasonable doubt, that child A, that their death was caused by Lucy Letby. So it's going to be an interesting week next week, and they will be going through each child and what happened.